Yes, people, welcome back to Talking Wolves. We're here for a brand new match preview. The games are coming thick and fast, and we've got another game, Premier League match away from home at Turf Moor against Burnley this week. I hope you guys are keeping well. Of course, we've already done the post-match content for the Villa game. Obviously, my thoughts. We've got the fans react, and we did a podcast which released earlier on today. But today we have got the preview. We've got my thoughts and the opposition preview as well. And before we kick off, please go and check out our channel partners over at Football Prizes. As always, another fantastic Wolves prize up for grabs with his signed and framed Max Kilman shirt available in their draw today. So ends this week on Wednesday, so still plenty of tickets remaining. If you want to get involved in that, a link will be at the top of the video description. But Wolves will be hoping to bounce back after a frustrating evening on Saturday against Aston Villa, a 2-0 defeat at Villa Park. We face off against a team in Burnley who have really struggled this season, but all of a sudden started to find a little bit of form. They're unbeaten in their last three in the Premier League, 2 draws and 1 win, and only 1 win, I think, at home. But all of a sudden starting to add that little bit more quality to their game, which they've lacked all year, really. Whereas Wolves, maybe we're on a little bit of a downward spiral, you could say. But after the FA Cup defeat, a lot of people thinking that maybe the season for Wolves could be over. But you know what? I think there's still plenty to play for. Still plenty of points to play for. You look at our next 6 Wolves. We've got Burnley tomorrow. We play West Ham United, then Nottingham Forest, Arsenal, and then Bournemouth and Luton. So in and amongst that, for me, there's lots of points there to be won for Wolves. And if you do start to get the players such as Cunha, who we'll talk about in a minute, and maybe Hwang Hee-chan back in a few weeks' time, Wolves can look like a pretty decent side again. Team news as such. I put the news out on Twitter on Friday that Cunha wasn't going to be in the squad for Villa, but Gary O'Neill is pretty confident that Matheus Cunha is going to be in the squad for Tuesday's game against Burnley, which is a huge boost for Wolves. Not 100% sure again whether he's going to be starting or whether it will be off the bench, but he will be in the squad in some capacity. Craig Dawson is also a maybe. He might well make the squad for Tuesday's game. However, obviously Neto's still out injured. Hwang Hee-chan. This game's probably come a bit too soon for Jean-Ric the Bellegarde as well. So Dawson and Cunha are 2 players that may well be added back into that frame for the match. In terms of a lineup, I'm not going to do a sort of predicted lineup graphic as I normally do. I really don't know what can change, really. Ryan Aït-Nouri came off early. That was just purely due to him being tired, apparently, according to Gary O'Neill. So it wasn't injury related or anything like that. So I think he might go and change. Possibly Fraser in for Chiwomi. Or do you risk it and go Cunha in from the start and maybe bring him off at the sort of 50, 60 minute mark? I don't know. But for Wolves, there's just lack of options, especially going in the forward areas, isn't it, really? I think, again, if you look at Leo Chiwomi, Nathan Fraser, even Noah Lamina. He was asked, Gary O'Neill was asked about that after the game on Saturday. And Gary O'Neill basically said, he's in and around the squad, but it was never, ever their plan to be throwing him into the deep end, in Premier League games. They wanted him to get up to speed, develop him this side of the season, and then from next season onwards, we'd see where he was at. But, the squad, I'm really not sure. And for me, our record at Burnley is awful. Not to say that will continue tomorrow, but I think for them, with them having a slight change in fortunes, look, there's still a long way for them to go if they want to stay in the Premier League. But for them, with the squad, with how it is and what we're lacking going forward, I think they've possibly got an opportunity to get some points on the board here. But we'll have to wait and see. And obviously, do let me know your thoughts and maybe how you would line up. I think in the last video against Villa, I said maybe starting Bueno or Doc at left wing back and pushing Aït-Nouri a little bit higher. I wouldn't be against that, having Aït-Nouri. And because I think Lemina's got to come central again. I think he has to play central, but who knows? Well, let's wait and see. But I caught up again with Joe from the Turfcast podcast to get the Burnley perspective ahead of this game. Does he think that Burnley will stay in the Premier League, and his thoughts on Vincent Kompany coming up? So then, guys, delighted to have Joe from the Turfcast podcast for today's opposition preview. Joe, thanks for jumping back on the channel, man. How you keeping?
Yeah, really well, mate. Really well. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good. Look, interesting game. Obviously, I was speaking to you earlier on. It's the first time I'm going to be going to Burnley for this game. But I've just read a stat that I've just read out to you. Burnley unbeaten in their last 6 home league games against Wolves, which is obviously a great run for you guys. But you've
Yeah.
improved a little bit as well last few games, picking up some points. think it's a draw against Chelsea, a win against Brentford, and a draw against West Ham. And all of a sudden, you're sort of back in the conversation to possibly, stay up. I think still a lot of work to do, but
Yeah.
you're a bit more upbeat over the last couple of weeks.
100%. We were absolutely dead and buried when we got beat against Bournemouth at home, which we were unlucky in. It was 2-0 to Bournemouth, and they did a job on us. Basically,
Yeah.
you just when you play Burnley, you just wait. You don't do anything. Just wait for Burnley to make a mistake, or at least that's what it was. And it's similar at Molineux actually earlier in the season, weren't it? You didn't really do much. We made a mistake. You capitalised, and you sat back, and we just couldn't break you down. And there's been so many games like that this season. But after that game, I think we were 12 points off safety. And now we're 4. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been a lot of helping hands in that. There's been some points deductions as well. Luton's form's been dreadful. Our form's picked up. But without the points deductions, we'd probably still be like, 7? And we'd still be pretty much dead and buried. But now with 4 points, we've got yourselves at home next. Then we've got Everton away. Then Sheffield United away. We've still got to play Brighton at home, Forest at home, and Newcastle at home. Burnley fans are now looking at this thinking, we probably won't do it, but we can get a win against Wolves, and then we're 1 point away if results go our way, and we're right back in the mix. So yeah, far more upbeat, mate. Far more upbeat.
Yeah, I think you were saying earlier. I mean, obviously, you boys have only won 4 games all season, but with the change of fortunes recently, and
Yeah,
you mentioned some games there. Obviously, I think you possibly do have an opportunity to get something against us with our current squad availability. But then, like you said, you got Everton, you got Forest, you got Sheffield United. I know a couple of those are away, but if you're getting points from those games, there's every chance you're going to be, in a much better position, really. So it could be an interesting end to the season. I think Luton, although they've scored quite a lot of goals, they've slowed down a lot in terms of their form recently.
yeah.
And Forest getting dragged into it, which we love to see. So I don't know, mate. It'll be interesting. What's the sort of? I mean, I suppose the last couple of results maybe have papered over the overall cracks of the season. But what's been the overall sort of thoughts from Burnley fans? Are they really disappointed with sort of where you are currently? Were they expecting a much better campaign?
I mean, yeah, we were. We weren't expecting to be so bad. Like, there was a few of us, myself included. I mean, I said we'll finish somewhere between 11th and 14th, which I don't think is that ridiculous. You look at where we've been this season, you can say, well, it was ridiculous because you've been dreadful.
Yeah.
And up until the recent run of form, we'd only won 3 games, and that we got our 4th win of the season in March against a 10-man Brentford, hanging on against them. Another day that the disallowed goal that they scored, which in my opinion was a correct decision, but another day you get an incompetent referee because there's that many of them, and that's given. But yeah, we're disappointed overall with the season. But like you said, we're back in the mix now, whether it be because of points deduction, and our form picking up slightly. But yeah, I like I said, I expected us to be probably in a similar position to like a Fulham or something now, or something like that. But when you look at teams like yourselves and Fulham, who Burnley fans were comparing themselves to at the start of the season, and you look at where you are in the league table and how much better than you've been, we are way off where we expected to be. And there's been a lot of reasons for that. I think company's been quite stubborn and inexperienced, but as I said on my show earlier, he's only 36, or it might have just gone 37 to be fair. And I'm 36 and I'm chatting to you, in my office at home. So, he's doing quite well in life, but in terms of as a manager, he's still quite inexperienced, and he's shown that there's been some bizarre decisions. Dropping Muric for Trafford at the start of the season and then sticking by him despite him showing that he clearly wasn't good enough yet. He will be a good goalkeeper, but he's not good enough yet. Josh Cullen sitting on the sidelines for the majority of the season. Yes, he had a poor start, but who didn't? Pretty much everybody at the start of the season was dreadful. He's coming. He's been fantastic. Watch him tomorrow, mate. He will hopefully for us pull the strings in the middle of the park, doing all the dirty work and then giving the ball to Sander, who then makes things happen and tries to get it to obviously the forwards and the wingers. So yeah, disappointed with the season overall, and you can probably pinpoint a few reasons for that, being managerial decisions, team selections, players not good enough. But, if we stay off on the last day of the season against Forest and send them down, like hopefully you boys would enjoy that as well as us, then all will be forgiven and then we can hopefully kick on next season. But like you said, it's a big ask. We've won 4 games all season. There's 8 games left. You probably at the very minimum need to win 3. You probably need to win 4 to stay up. So we need to basically replicate what we've done in the entire season in the last 8 games. When you put it like that, it's probably a little bit too much to ask, but fingers crossed. We've got a bit of hope again. And as some of the lads on the podcast say, that's all you can ask, really.
Yeah. Was there ever a point in the season where company was in trouble in terms of job security? Was there ever a game you thought, he might go after this, or has he always sort of had that because of last year? Has he always had that sort of safety net almost to fall back on?
For me, he's always had the safety net, and some of the stuff that the chairman says about him, you just know he's not going to sack him at this stage. There may be a point in the future where it happens. Say, for example, if it comes to October next year in the championship and we're 18th, I don't think that'll happen. I do think we'll go back up again, if I'm honest with you, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. But no, I don't think there's ever been a point. The fans have started or did start to get a little bit restless recently. There was the defeat down at Palace where his demeanour changed after full time. Normally he'd just do a normal clap and then just say bye to the fans, whatever, and walk off. But he did that weird thing that managers do when it's getting really, really bad, where he just does a clap, does that, like as he say sorry, and then just stands there taking it in. And I remember thinking, like, that's a bit weird. Didn't ever think, like I said, that he was going to leave.
Yeah,
But there has been some murmurs recently from fans that have actually got quite louder, and even one of the lads on our panel has gone fully company out, or did do. I'm not sure what his thoughts are recently because he's been unavailable for some shows, but there's been a lot of fans sort of like shouting, saying he's not good enough, it's too inexperienced, we want him out. But for me, I think he is going to be a top manager one day. And yes, I thought this season was going to be better, and he has made a lot of mistakes. But he's going to learn from this season in the Prem, and he's going to become a better manager for it. And I wouldn't want to sack him now with all the knowledge and experience he's picking up, and Craig Bellamy, the assistant, as well, to then watch him go to another club and then see them benefit from the year experience that he's had here. Like, stick by him, then he can have the year of experience here with us, and then we can see the benefits for it next season or the season after when we're back in the Prem, hopefully, if we do go down. But yeah, I don't think there's been any danger of him actually being sacked. My worry is, and I don't think he'll do it, but my worry is that he walks at the end of the season.
yeah,
Maybe another job comes up, and then we've stuck by him through all of this, and then he just walks. Say, like, I don't know, West Ham get rid of Moisey, and then they come in, something like that. Because he's always in the conversation for these big jobs because of the player he's had. And I always use Football Manager as an example. But say, like, when you're on Football Manager, I mean, I don't play it anymore, so I don't know what it was like, what it's like these days. But back in the day, if you put yourself as like a world class player
yeah.
back in the day, like your experience, you get all these random job offers, and it's kind of like that. Like Tottenham were interested in him apparently at the start of the season, so I do think he'll get an offer in the summer if a decent job comes available. So I'm just hoping he sticks by us like we've stuck by him. But yeah, I don't think there's any danger of him being sacked, if I'm honest with you.
You mentioned a couple of players, decent players, but have there been many shining lights this season for you? I remember last time you picked out the winger, and then he got injured straight away, didn't he, against Wolves? Has he
Yeah,
come back yet? Or is he still out?
he's on the verge of coming back. There's no official word from the club, but some of the people that I talked to said he could be on the bench. But it'll be his first game back since then, and he had a cruciate knee ligament, so let's hope he's not rushed back. We don't need to rush him back, to be fair, because we do have another winger in there now called Wilson Odebear. He's been fantastic. He actually wasn't playing until Coley Osho got injured. It was Coley Osho that I was raving about earlier in the season.
Yeah.
He then got injured, then Odebear comes in. And then he plays really well in that position as well. So if that will give us such a lift, say if he's back on the bench for you guys and he's starting against Everton or Sheffield United, for example, and then he gets a goal, that again would give us such a lift. And we could then have Odebear and Coley Osho on the wings with Foster and Fofana up top, maybe. But yeah, Coley Osho's probably the main one. He started the season very well. Then Odebear, he's done very well recently. I'll be very surprised to see him here next season if we're not in the Premier League. Sander Berg's done very, very well. Josh Cullen's done well since coming back in the side. David Fofana's done well since signing from Chelsea in January. Foster's done well, but he's had a lot of time out. But in his short spells in the side, he's done well. And Esteve or Steve, as we like to call him, because anything foreign, you just put an English name on it and that's it. Up in Burnley, just call him Steve. It's right. He's come in and done very, very well. He was a great fan in January, and he's a good defender. He's just getting better and better. And even with the change of goalkeeper behind him now, he's got even better because I think he trusts the current goalkeeper more. But there's actually been a few decent players, to be fair. I've just sat here and reeled off more players than I thought I would have done for the season that we've had. But yeah, there's some good individual quality in there. We just need to start, showing it on the pitch and getting more results. And obviously, thankfully, in the last month, we've slowly started to do that.
What triggered the change in goalkeeper? I know, obviously, Trafford's had some okay moments, but every time he's in the headlines, it's normally for the wrong reasons, like dropped a clanger.
Yeah.
Or there was a game I watched. Was that against Sheffield United on the Friday night when he sort of gone down? And I actually thought it was a foul, to be fair, on him. And the referee,
Luton. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that was it,
that were a
Luton. Yeah,
foul. Yeah,
yeah,
100% a
yeah.
foul. You know what? I don't know because he's had some dreadful games this season, and he made some silly mistakes. He actually got Josh Brownell sent off thanks to a hospital pass at the Palace game that I've just referenced. Obviously, there's the Luton one there. It is a foul, but he also needs to be stronger. It goes down too easily. It's definitely a foul. He messed up against West Ham. Probably should have saved their second goal, but that's probably super critical. But he should have 100% should have done better with it. And there has been all these moments in the season. I don't know if there's been a specific event that triggers it. There's been some sort of like tin foil hat wearing conspiracy theories on the hashtags that he had a clause in his contract, and when somebody worked it out, and he's played exactly 75% of games. So
All
I don't know
right.
if there was something in his contract where he had to play 75% of the games because he's our goalkeeper. We have signed him, but City have a buyback on him. So I don't know if for that 60 million, apparently the buyback is to be triggered or whatever for them to actually want him, they have to pay that. He has to pay a certain amount play a certain amount of games. But obviously the last time he played was the game against West Ham where he did make the mistake for the second goal. So a company could probably reference that and say that's why I've done it. Enough mistakes. But the noise surrounding him was so loud. It was getting louder and louder every single week, and people were like, "It's doing more damage to keep him in the team than it is good." So obviously, the company was obviously trying to develop him and stuff, and I think that is obviously the plan with him. So yeah, there was so much noise surrounding him, and like I said, people were saying it's obviously more damage now than good. So maybe company finally did realize that and did understand that, but there wasn't really a massive clangor before in that match. He should have done better with the second West Ham goal. But yeah, I'm leaning more towards the fact that there may have been something in the contract, but the club will obviously never release that information.
Yeah, well, the form's improved a little bit since then, obviously. So, and I'm sure, I think you said earlier that, the goalkeeper's been doing an okay job. Joe, going into this game, like I said, I'm not overly optimistic, just purely based off our squad availability and the players that we've
Yeah.
got going forward. But what are you thinking? What's your score prediction for this one? Do you think Burnley can continue their decent little run of form?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, we've been so bad all season, mate. And for me to be actually going into a game positive is just I'm just happy about that because I've been going
Mm,
into so many games just deflated. And it's a Tuesday night. The weather's probably going to be crap. It always is up here. I live at the other side of town. I sometimes just get to the point where I'm like, can I really be bothered? I always end up going on, obviously, because I'm a season ticket holder. But it's become that this season. It's become a case of Luton at home on Monday night. Do I really want to do this? Can I really be bothered? But now I'm actually looking forward to it. Tuesday night under the lights. Yes, the weather will be crap, but hopefully it's a rocking turf, and hopefully we can, we can get a win. Obviously, because of your injuries, two of your main players are out. Hopefully, for me, three of your main players are out as well. And if that is the case, then yeah, I think the momentum that we've built, the fact that you are 10th, bang in the middle, you're not going to go down. You could get yourself in the conversation to Europe, but with your injuries, you probably won't do so. I think maybe your players might be on the beach a little bit, but well, fingers crossed they are. But yeah, I'm going into this with a bit of confidence, and I'm predicting a 2-0 Burnley win. But we've won 4 games all season, and we've been pretty dreadful for pretty much the majority of the season up until the last month. And there's been these false dawns before, where you get a couple of decent points, but never this prolonged, to be fair. But there's been these false dawns before where we then show up and get beat 3-0 by somebody, and you're like, for
yeah.
God's sake, what an absolute waste of time that was. It's massive. For us to stay up, we have to, at the very minimum, win 2 of our next 3 games, I think, with yourselves at home and then Everton and Sheffield United away. I think Everton's the hardest one in them 3 games because of your injury issues and the fact that we just cannot play against the Daesh team anymore for some reason. So I'm hoping we beat you on Tuesday. Obviously, I'm hoping we win all 3, but I'm hoping we beat you on Tuesday, potentially get a point at Goodison, and then beat Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. But yeah, I'm going for 2-0 to Burnley on this one, mate.
Yeah, I'll be interested into the season, mate. I appreciate you jumping on. And like I said, I think it's crossed we are chatting again next season as well. Where can people find you and the Turfcast stuff if they wish?
Yeah, so just search Turfcast Podcast. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Obviously, we do podcasts as well. We have 3 podcasts a week, loads of videos a week, full-time shows, pre-game shows, which obviously you've just done for me. Thank you very much for that,
No
mate.
problem.
But yeah, just search Turfcast, so you'll find pretty much everything there that you need to do.
Yeah, no problem at all. And like I said, yeah, fingers crossed we're chatting again next season. Joe, all the best for the rest of the campaign. And yeah, I'll catch you soon, man. Thank you for jumping on.
Cheers, mate.
So big thanks to Joe once again. I'll make sure I leave a link to the Turfcast in the description down below. Do let me know your thoughts. I'm going to Turf Moor. It's my first time going there. I'm driving up tomorrow, so I would love us to get a victory, but I can just see it being like a 1-1 draw or something like that, guys. I'm not holding my breath for anything too much, if I'm completely honest. But do let me know your thoughts and your predictions in the comment section down below. I really do hope you've enjoyed your Easter weekend if you're in the UK. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon.